Hi Keith, I'm Al from the Dad Network and I'm joined by Keith, a professional photographer from Shot by the Sheriff and a new dad. He's going to give us a masterclass on taking photographs of babies or children.
Yeah, I mean there's a few real basics that you can do. I'll run through a few of them now. So basically, if you're trying to work in an environment that maybe isn't very pretty, or there isn't a lot going on, or you've got radiators or just stuff in the background, what you can do is you can buy stuff that looks like flooring and you just put it onto a board, and you can go to any of the DIY shops and just take a couple of samples of wallpaper and paste it onto these boards and make up your own set just so that it will look pretty.
So tell us about Aperture.
Okay, Aperture is the bit in your lens that opens and closes and lets in light, or depending how much light it lets in, it also changes how much is in focus, the depth of field. So the wider the aperture, the more light it lets in, and the shallower the depth of field, the less that's in focus. The smaller the aperture, the less light it lets in, but more will be in focus.
Okay, so if you're shooting one baby, then you would want to have just a small amount in focus, just the nose or the eyes.
Generally, I would say it's nicer to pick out a feature, focus on the eyes generally, and let the rest fall out of focus so that you've got that. But I wouldn't shoot a group shot of 6 people on a shallow depth of field.
Sure. Brilliant. Okay, that's great. So tell us now about shutter speed.
Okay, shutter speed is really simple. It's how long the shutter stays open and then shuts again for. So a slow shutter speed would be like 20th of a second. A fast shutter speed would be 1,000th of a second. You really want to don't go too slow, because otherwise if the baby's moving, you'll blur it. So you want to keep up a relatively high shutter speed. Also, a good rule for lenses is 1 over the focal length of the lens, because you don't want to get camera shake. So this being a 200mm lens, 1 over 200, so you don't want to hold it slower than 1/200th of a second. Whereas that is a 50mm lens, so you could handhold it at 1/50th of a second.
Okay, so for babies you might want to have a slightly slower shutter speed because they don't move as much as, say, a child of 4 years old running around.
Absolutely. So there's the things if you were shooting a landscape, just to don't put it dead in the middle, put it slightly at the bottom, slightly towards the top, on one of those third lines. And it's the same if you were photographing a person, don't put them bang in the middle, put them slightly to the left or to the right, and on one of these lines, the third, each where these lines cross is called a hotspot. So any of these bits where you put something, it becomes a stronger place for that thing to have been, rather than just anywhere randomly. And that is the basics of the rule of thirds.
Okay, and tell us about what the ISO is.
ISO is basically the sensitivity of the sensor in your camera. The higher the number, the more sensitive it is to light, so you can shoot in dimmer circumstances. So if you had 3200 set, you could shoot in a church with no flash gun probably. But on a bright sunny day, you probably only need 100 ISO. But the higher the ISO, the lower the quality is generally.
Brilliant. Okay. Okay, Keith, so if you could give us 3 top tips to get good photos of our children, of our babies, what would they be?
I would say get down to your child's eye level. Don't shoot from up here with a baby on the ground. Get down to their level.
Brilliant.
That's the first top tip. Second tip would probably shoot by natural light if you can. As you can see, we're sitting in natural light in the conservatory. The light's quite nice. And it's not a sunny day. You don't need a sunny day. You actually want to be in the shade of the sun or a cloudy day.
Brilliant. And thirdly?
And thirdly, I would say use more than one person, because as soon as you pick up a camera, the baby or child switches off. They don't have much engagement. So really, you want somebody holding the baby, you taking the pictures, and somebody trying to get the baby's attention, get engaged with the baby, because it's not a one-person job.
Brilliant. Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Keith, for all your advice. I'm sure that I've certainly got things that I can take away and implement taking photos of the boys, so that's really helpful. Thanks very much.
Yeah. One additional top tip is, if you struggle, use a professional photographer, like Shot by the Sheriff photography.